Michelle for Videowave, and I'm here today speaking with Miri Segal, an artist whose works have been seen at PS1, Tel Aviv Museum of Art, and in various gallery shows running nationally and internationally. And I'd like to say a little bit about your work from the book that was written about you called Interfaces, about your work. It says, imaginary planes and concrete planes, things and shadows of things, images and other reflections become interwoven in your work, creating, in your own words, a system of conceptual interference, constructive and destructive, where the essence is enhanced and alternately relaxed by its own image. So your work engages a spectator and draws them into the piece. And the producers of Videowave and myself saw a couple of pieces at PS1 in 2001, and the one piece involving the roulette table was quite interesting. And you use, it seems as though you use a lot of mirrors in your work as well.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see how that piece evolved. You first walk up to it and you're watching a game of roulette being played, being projected. And as the viewer watches, they're seeing the number flash before them before it's actually, the ball actually
stopped on that number. Yeah.
Right. So there's a sense of like predeterminism there.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, it's the name of the piece is foreshadowing. You know, foreshadowing is it means it's similar to prefiguration. It's a word that has to do with strong determinism, and this it is a notion that was used to explain how the Old Testimony predicted the New Testimony. In the scholastic times when they were trying to bridge between these two Bibles.
Yes.
And anyway, it's a concept coming from determinism, the belief in determinism. And the roulette, on the other hand, it's a random device. And what I wanted to do with this piece is I wanted somehow to isolate the anticipation that one feels when standing next to a roulette wheel. And, you know, and this kind of phenomena that once you are there and you know that if you get the right number, then you're not only going to get the money, but it's a sign, you know, it's a kind of sign to you.
Of sort of a synchronicity maybe happening in the world, in the
universe. Or,
universe?
you know, and you are in control of things, you know. It's somehow, to people standing next to this kind of luck devices, if the luck is in their side, then it has an empowering sensation that maybe things are going to get better today.
Right,
you know?
or go their way, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you get, so it's always a sign for a general phenomena. And I wanted to take this kind of sensation and somehow to freeze it and to relax it from the luck determinism. Because in this sensation there is a paradox which is embedded in it. You know, why do we feel that we believe, I mean, why do we believe so strongly that once we were lucky, then it's a sign? If it is a sign, then it means that maybe it's not a random device anymore, and yet we are standing next to this random device and playing with it.
Right.
So I wanted to take this kind of sensation and make it and put it in between determinism and randomness. So I decided that my roulette is going to be, first of all, spiral, and because there is something hypnotic anyway, and you know, something that lures you in this kind of things that repetitively, you know, act out
an event
randomly, and it just, you know, it's hypnotize you, it frees you in the, you know, it's like taking your gaze into them. And
well, it's interesting because it's a circle, and you know, the Earth is revolving in a circle, and the universe as well. And yet
Yeah,
we're all sort of subject to chance events every day
Yeah.
in the worlds that we lead,
Yeah.
the lives we lead.
But still, with that, we give these chance events meanings, which is beyond, which is still, no matter what our philosophical stance are, we have the tendency to believe in some kind of predetermined events. You know, even though it was luck that brought you this number, then in our psychology we kind of believe that maybe there was another power that was
helping us.
Yeah,
or that we'd done good or something and we're being rewarded now.
Maybe, or that there is a power that is really how do you say, playing the strings for us.
Yes, orchestrating these events.
Yeah.
Like it's a way of having control.
Yeah.
I think.
And then the way to cut away the randomness was, first of all, I mean, it has to do with the music, with the sound there. That was written by a composer that I'm working with, whose name is Jonathan Bargiora, and the meaning of, I mean, what I wanted to happen is I wanted people to get stuck there, to be lured to stay there long enough, so that they would start to see these flashing numbers, and and it will have this. How do you say, this nervous anticipation would stay there, even though you're not going to get anything out of it, so an ironic part to it.
I found one of the things that really held you there, and I was watching the shadows come into to view.
Yeah.
And the shadows, it's been a year now since I partook in it.
Yeah.
But I do, are they there all the time? Or
No.
you just become aware at some point
Yeah.
that there's a shadow viewing the event,
Yeah.
right? Viewing the roulette game.
Yeah.
Right? And you get this eerie sense of being watched.
Yeah.
And it takes you inside yourself once
Yeah.
again. It's like, okay.
Who is there? As if it's someone, as if there, because this also has to do. First of all, it has to do with the title of the work, foreshadowing, but it also has to do with this. I don't know how to say it in English. With this thing that we attribute to the events. With the thing that maybe there is another power pulling the strings for us.
And watching. An overseer or something.
Yeah, and also I wanted, I was thinking also about a work that comes with some kind of a signature of a viewer without the viewer being there, and
Yes.
And the foreshadowing is it's a play between two forces there that I wanted. On the one hand, that once you're watching the roulette, you would be drawn to its center, and on the other hand, I wanted to create an opposite movement, in terms of your consciousness, and that was the shadow. And the shadow, the thing about the shadow is that I planned it that once you stand, the roulette was up, right? So you had to stretch and look up to the roulette, and this has to do with the fact that I wanted this omni power of this luck device to be.
You're looking up.
Yeah, to be pointed somehow.
Okay.
And then it was screened through this half transparent mirror, so that once you would see yourself standing, you could see a dim reflection of your body standing perpendicular to the pictorial plane.
Do you see that throughout the piece? Do you see yourself?
If you are looking for it, you can see yourself. You can see a reflection of yourself, but also you can see, the people in the room reflected in this in this two-way mirror, which also shows the image, but also show parts of your body and of the other spectators. So the shadow, and then the situation is that your body, there is since there is this other projector from behind, your shadow, your own shadow, is projected in front of you. And therefore, when the other shadow comes in, it just stands next to you in real size, the size similar to yours.
So it really makes you feel like there's sort of a stranger in the room watching
yeah,
you.
Yeah.
It's the same scale. You have so many wonderful pieces, and there's so much to talk about. Another one that was in the show where you use projection once again, the one where you're actually, it's you that's being filmed between two cameras. You film yourself. You get a shadow of yourself front and back,
yeah,
as you're caressing yourself.
Yes.
But the viewer sees, I can't remember if I saw this piece. The viewer sees someone with hands being wrapped around them, but are not aware that it's the person caressing themselves?
No. What you see is, you see depending on where you stand in the room, you see a blending of these two images. And what you see not only the person caressing it, but the person becomes the double of itself, because you see the back side,
yes,
and the front side. So for example, if I do something like that, you would see the hand, but you would see also the other side. So it becomes like a closed
circuit,
like
which
a
is the
closed
name
circuit.
of the piece.
Yeah,
exactly.
Which is the name of the piece. And then once you move around the piece, you would see it from, then if you stand just in front of one projector, you would see just one image. And once you start moving around it, they will start to melt together. Like, it would be like this kind of, what the touched and the touching part are starting to melt together, and you don't know what is, like the sensation of once you are touching yourself, say in the nose, or you don't know what is the touching part, who touched who, does this hand touch this one? And in the sensation, you don't really know how to distinguish, because they come like one thing, the touching hand and the touch body.
Yeah, it says that throughout the piece, words are saying, when I touch myself, I feel both sides.
Yeah.
That's what you're explaining.
Yeah.
Meaning both sides, what it feels like to be touched and what it feels like to
touch. Yeah.
Which is really interesting. And the other interesting thing
and it's different than when I touch you, for example. Then I have, a sensation of my fingers touching someone. But when I do this, I have both experiences, which is completely different than touching.
And it's fascinating because once again, it brings you into your own consciousness again, inside. Yeah. Through an outer experience, you're brought inside. Or if you're thinking about it, you're making someone think about these things. Yeah. What I find fascinating about you as well is that you have a PhD in mathematics, and you just recently received that degree in like 98? Yeah, 98. How does your background in math coincide with what you do conceptually? Are the two intertwined? Is there? I don't know. Probably they are. Separate paths, or are they? Did they bring you? Did they somehow cross?
I think there is a connection. I believe that there is some kind of connection between my mathematical education, especially. I believe that I was influenced from what I learned in mathematics. But I don't know if I'm the right person to answer this question, because I'm split between these two worlds, and I don't really feel that I can control the influence from mathematics to my art making. But what I know for certain is that I was very impressed, and of course, from what I learned in mathematics really determined my intellectual, capacities and the way I think.
To conceptualize these. To
conceptualize, and I was influenced by ideas in mathematics, ideas that has to do with language, or with the impossibility of mathematical languages, or the possibilities. But I don't know how to go beyond this. I mean, I don't think about it when I'm making art. I don't think about it so much.
And how do they generate your concepts? Do they take a while while you're sort of like distilling these ideas, or do they, you know, I'm just curious to know. And then to execute them, it would seem like a lot goes into that as well.
Well, most of the pieces are, you know, in this show in PS1, I mean, there was one piece which was maybe complicated to do, but other pieces, you know, I don't know how ideas come to you.
Mm.
They just come, you know, and then
come quickly.
Quickly. I mean, the ideas, they are short ideas somehow.
Mm-hmm.
They had to do with something that I'm thinking of for
Mm-hmm.
many years, but the pieces themselves are things that once they come in a second, you know.
Right. Okay.
And then I'm executing them.
Mm-hmm.
But my way of working is less. I'm more conceptual, you know. I don't do so much shooting and then I see what I can do with them, but generally I have an idea and then I execute the idea. I do whatever the work demands. I'm its slave.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
How did PS1 come to learn of you? And
they came to my show. I mean, the director Alana Hayes.
mm-hmm.
She came to a show I had in Tel Aviv in 1999, I guess, yes. And in my gallery. And then she picked me up there.
So you're a resident of, you live in Tel Aviv?
Yes.
And you just visit New York frequently, or?
I visit New York from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I'm invited. But if there is a...
איזה יופי זה יצא.
And in the gallery show that we were talking about in the beginning, the Axis Gallery show, that was recently here in New York, which I missed, unfortunately. What new pieces were on view there?
It was not a new piece. In fact, it was an older piece than... it was just one piece. It was a group exhibition called Thin Skin.
Mm-hmm.
And the piece I had there, it was... it has to do... It was... it's called EG, and what you see there, you are standing in a small corridor in front of a mirror.
I read about this one. Is it EG 2000 with the balls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just and there are these juggling balls. I mean, there a repetitive theme in my work has to do with the question whether an image can touch you.
Mm.
And many pieces has to, I mean, this is a way to read many pieces easily.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for example, the one that you've seen with the fan.
Yes, vapor.
Vapor, where and also this EG. And with EG, you know, when I'm trying to deal with this question, both figuratively and literally,
Mm-hmm.
how can an image move you, or can an image still, you know, touch you in any way. And so in EG, you are standing in front of this mirror, and there are these juggling balls that moves slowlier than
gravity.
Yeah. And it was programmed, and then you see yourself in the mirror, and you see behind the mirror this image of these balls floating in the air. And it is constructed like that, that the corridor is very small, so that you would lie back on the wall behind you, just in order to see. So, and if you put your hand forward, you would see in the mirror that you are touching these balls, and therefore you can somehow touch an image of light balls, which are very, very light also. So, and you can join the. Of course, this is predetermined, you know, the movement of the balls, but it invites you to participate. So you participate. On the one hand, it gives you some kind of satisfaction, because it really the music that there is there, and it really orchestrated to give you this kind of satisfaction once you are touching
like
this.
Participating in the piece.
Yeah, and the ball, they feel so light in your hands once you know, like clouds that touch your
so you get the sensation of actually feeling the balls.
Yeah, and anyway, juggling has to do with anti-gravity, right? When these balls, in any case, you know, when you juggle, it has to do with anti-gravity. But what I wanted but regarding this question of whether a work of art, whether an image can touch you, I wanted to construct a situation where it is somehow in between. You know, on the one hand, you can have this satisfactory sensation that you are touching somehow an image, literally touching an image. But on the other hand, you feel and you see that your hands are empty. And people that are looking from the outside, they also can see that your hands are empty. So this is, you know, some kind of, you know, not an answer, but how do you say, a doubt, or, you know, exactly at this point that it can touch you, but you remained
empty-handed.
Yeah, something like that.
So it makes you doubt. Gives you some self-doubt.
Yeah.
Is it also in that piece, I think you see an image of a woman also miming the...
Yeah, from time to time. This is just, I just did that in order to prompt the viewer really to try to, I was asking myself how I should really encourage the viewer to participate in that. And then what I did is, from time to time, your own image is partially taken away from the mirror because it's more lit. And then you would see a figure playing with the balls, but she plays with the ball, but it was not shot. It was not while she was really playing with them, but
she's mimicking the viewer,
the
participator.
Yeah. So the balls would be still these artificial balls, you know. Graphic design, computer graphics balls, and she would just juggle with them, but in another, it would look as if it's again two planes of the imaginary and the real one meeting, also in that image, and it will happen every 30 seconds, but only for maybe 2 or 3 seconds, just to encourage you, the viewer, to participate.
And the other piece you were talking about, Vapor, which was on view at PS1, you used a fan and you projected leaves that were blowing from trees onto the fan. At the same time, wind is blowing, and the fan is blowing wind at the viewer.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful piece. And it's very interesting how it's layered, because the fan, the projection is going onto the blades of the fan. Yeah. As well, it's sort of multi-layered. Yeah. As well as the wall behind.
No, because the walls, the blades, you know, how does a fan look like? It has holes, right?
Right. Spaces.
And spaces between the blades. So, but when it moves fast, then this blade is everywhere, right? So therefore, it creates an imaginary pictorial plan on it, the picture appears completely, but also the holes are moving, so the light also goes through, so the double image appears on the wall. But on the wall it's less focused, it's focused more on the, this is why you see this multi-layering.
I see.
And what is, yeah, for me what's interesting about this piece is that this is, you know, the quotation that you said before about the conceptual interference. Well, I don't remember what I said, but it is something that I said about
constructivist and deconstructivist.
Yeah. Constructive and destructive interference was said about this piece. When what I wanted to do, I wanted, again, it has to do with touch. I wanted the image to reach you, you know, to reach the viewer. So I decided that I will do something with wind, and the wind is kind of bringing the image towards you. It really touches you.
Mm.
So again, the touch is a literal touch, but
yes.
but and the moving, and hopefully the viewer is moved by this movement, you know. So
they are. You are, because it also feels like nature.
Yeah, it feels like nature. It's kind of an artificial nature, but the phenomena that is created there is since the projector, it's how do you say, like bilateral, זה הדדי, ככה אומרים bilateral.
Two layers, like
two. How do you say? There are a relationship created between the projector,
yes,
and the fan. The projector is throwing an image of wind on the fan,
yes,
and the fan is blowing wind on the projector, and they create this kind of system. But you as a viewer, you get both. You know, you get the touch of the
conceptual part as well as the physical part.
Yeah,
being engaged.
And the thing that is strange about it, that they really has the power to increase one another. You know, for example, if and I had another version of this piece where there was a dimmer and the wind would go down a little bit, then you will feel as if that in the image you would feel that the trees are less blowing in the wind. On the other hand, once it's constant, like the one you've seen in PS1, and the trees are going down a little bit, you know, the storm is less severe, then you'd feel that the wind also that you feel on your face is less. So it has to do also with that.
Mm. Beautiful.
Feedback.
A feedback, yeah, between two different sensory.
So one's influencing the next.
Yeah, yeah.
The circuit.
Yeah.
So is there anything you're working on now? You're going back home now you're visiting New York right now. You're going back home to Israel.
Yeah.
What are you working on now? Any interesting projects?
Well.
Nothing you.
The next exhibition.
Yeah. When will you be showing work?
I have right now a show in Tel Aviv. This catalog was made for this show, and it's going to go on for 2 more months. Then after that, I have some other shows, also in Tel Aviv and maybe in Europe. I don't know.
Well, it was lovely speaking to you today, and thank you so much
for
explaining in depth your work to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.